Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making some cloverleaf rolls. These are just bread rolls or dinner rolls, but instead of being in a single form, each roll is rolled into 3 small balls and placed into a muffin tin, and then as they prove they rise up out and they resemble a cloverleaf. These are ideal for dinner, eating with soup and such like. Very simple to make. You can do them by hand, but I'm going to do mine in the stand mixer. And for the ingredients I have 440 grams of bread flour. You could use all-purpose or plain flour, but I'm using bread flour. And that works out at 3.5 cups. I have 275 millilitres of milk, and that works out at 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons. I have 56 grams of butter, which I've melted or almost melted completely, and it's cooling down, and that is 4 tablespoons or half a stick. I have 25 grams, which is 2 tablespoons of caster sugar, or granulated sugar would be okay. I have 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 7 grams, which is 1 packet of active dry yeast. And the first thing I'm going to do is to take about a teaspoon of the sugar and put it into the milk. And this milk I have at about 42 degrees Celsius. That's 108 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to pour the active dried yeast into that, and I'm going to stir it around, and then I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes for that yeast to activate. So the yeast has activated, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the bowl of my stand mixer. And I'll just scrape the excess off the side of the jug. I want to get all the yeast in there. And then into that I'm going to add the butter, and I'm going to mix that around just to combine it. Now I have my paddle attachment on my mixer ready for the flour. So that's all I need to do with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the salt and the sugar into the flour and just give that a bit of a stir around to get it mixed in a little bit. And then I'm going to put that into the bowl with the wet ingredients. And I'm going to knead that. I'm going to start it on slow just so that it doesn't go everywhere. Then I'm going to knead it for 6 to 7 minutes until it comes away from the sides of the bowl, leaving the sides of the bowl quite clean. So that's nicely kneaded now, and it's not sticky. So I'm going to take that out of the bowl and I'm just going to form it into a ball so it pulls out quite nicely. And I don't need flour on the work surface, so I'm just going to turn that over on itself like that and form it into a ball. Like that. And then I'm going to put it into a greased bowl. So I have some oil in this bowl, just a little bit, and I'm going to put it top side down first and swirl it around. Then I'm just going to spin it over so that it's all coated in the oil. That will prevent it from sticking and forming a skin as well. And then I'm going to cover that in plastic wrap. You could use a damp towel or plastic wrap. In actual fact, I'm going to use a little plastic hood that I bought for this particular event, and I'm going to leave that prove for 60 to 90 minutes until it's doubled in size. It may take longer because it's quite cool in here today, but when it's doubled in size, I'll come back and we'll go on to the next step, which is to divide the dough up and form it into our cloverleaf rolls. So it's been about an hour and a half, and my dough has doubled in size, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just knock the air out of that, and then I need to divide this into 36 balls for 12 rolls. And the way I'm going to do that is to weigh the dough first of all, to see how much I've got. And I've got 792 grams, and I'm going to divide that into 12 equal pieces. So 720 would be 60, and then that would leave me with 72, which is another 6, so 66 grams for each piece of dough. And then I'm going to divide each of those into 3 as well. So take that in half and cut each of those into thirds. And then again. So with each, I have my 12 pieces, 66 grams each. And what I'm going to do is cut each of these into 3 pieces. And by default, those need to be 22 grams each, but you don't have to be quite so precise with those, I would think. And then what you need to do is to take each of the pieces and form them into a ball. And I'm doing that like this. So I'm going to flatten them out and then pull them up into the centre, just like that. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to tighten it up like that by using the undersides of my fingers just to tighten that, and I'm going to create 3 for each hole of the muffin tin, like that. And then with those 3 I'm going to put them into the muffin tin, just like that, and I'm going to do the same with the remainder. So the 12 dough balls have been shaped. This one doesn't look very good actually. I'm going to do that again. The 12 dough balls have been shaped and into 3 pieces each, and then put into the muffin tin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover those now, and I'm going to let them proof again until they've just about doubled in size. As that's happening, I'm going to heat my oven to 180 Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, so that they're ready to bake. And I will also take a little bit of milk ready to brush over the top. You don't have to do that. I've seen some videos where they just bake these as is, and then as soon as they come out of the oven they brush some melted butter on, but I'm going to brush mine with milk before they go into the oven to give them that little bit of shine. So I'll be back with you when they've doubled in size, and it should take up to an hour for that to happen, and while that's happening I'll preheat the oven, then we'll be ready to bake. So the cloverleaf rolls have risen, and they've about doubled in size, as you can see. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to brush the top lightly with a little bit of milk. As I said earlier, you don't have to do this. Some people just bake them as they are, and then as soon as they come out of the oven, brush some melted butter on them. But I'm doing this because on some of them I'm going to sprinkle, and this is optional again of course, a few sesame seeds over the top. You could put sesame seeds or poppy seeds if you wanted to, and then if you want to, as I say, you can just sprinkle a few sesame seeds on them. I'm only going to do it on some of them, and I'm not going to put many on. You can put poppy seeds on, as I said. So with those like that, I'm going to put them into the preheated oven, and I'm going to bake them for between 20 and 25 minutes. I think about 22 minutes is probably good enough. Then I'll take them out and tip them out of the pan almost immediately so they don't steam in the pan, and then I'll come back and show you what they look like. I baked the cloverleaf rolls for 22 minutes, and I've taken them out of the oven, and they're cooling down. They're not quite fully cooled down, but they're cooling down, and I think it's okay to try one now. So as you can see, they have the 3 parts, and they easily tear, and they have a nice texture to them. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of butter, or this is spread rather than butter, I'll have a taste. Nice and soft, as they would be because they're fresh. These are a very good roll, I have to say. Easy to make. They don't take very long either, and are ideal with soup, I would think, or eating with your dinner. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link below the video for it as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future, so until then, happy baking.